Hi boys and girls, my name is Brad Burton. I'm the UK's #1 motivational business speaker, and when I'm not motivating businesses around the UK, I've been an entrepreneur. I'm writing books. I've actually written 4 books, including the wonderfully offensively titled best business book, Get Off Your Ass. I play computer games. You know, as I said, my name is Brad Burton. I'm an entrepreneur from over in the UK. I run several businesses. I've written 4 books, or 3 books published at the moment, 4th one's coming out in November. I'm also a motivational speaker, that's what I do. And I have a family of 3 boys and 1 girl, big family, 1 dog and a Labradoodle. And I'm based over in the UK, big gamer, I've been for many, many years. Absolutely adore computer gaming, and I hang out mostly in Maine, multiple arcade emulator, and also Mega Drive. Pac-Man. My mum used to work in a pub, and she was a cleaner, and I used to go there on school holidays, and while she cleaned the pub, and I'd go down the back of the sofas in the pub, in the bar, and find coins. And I remember they had this Pac-Man machine, and I found coins and I put them in the Pac-Man machine. So it must have been 1980, was it 1980 Pac-Man coming out? And you know, it was so very difficult for a 7-year-old back then. And then 1981-82, we went on a holiday to a place called Rhyl in North Wales, which was a seaside resort back in the UK. And there was an arcade there called the Mint. And there were several arcades, but the one that really I would stay there all day long was called the Mint, because they did everything right. And I wonder whether it's had a bearing on me in business, because I sort of it was quite formative really, in that I look at the way they did things. You know, it had the volume, it had the energy, it was clean, it was safe, everything about it was just a good environment. So I would say my first experience was Pac-Man, but my most burnt in my psyche one was probably 1982, 1983, with the Mint, with games like Xevious, Super Punch-Out, Dragon's Lair, which was just mind-blowing at the time. Obviously not much of a gameplay when you look at it now, but Dragon's Lair was amazing. And Spy Hunter, the sit-down Spy Hunter, that bass, the excitement, you know, as an 8-year-old child, 9-year-old child, you know, it was just, you know, you felt like you was James Bond. Great question. My favourite game of all time, Laser Quest, by Julian and Nick Gollop, a strategy game, turn-based strategy game, back in 1988 on Commodore 64. The game that I played consistently for 2 years. Consistently. Maybe it was a different time then, maybe we didn't have access to all these great games, but that game is probably my favourite game of all time. And strategy games, I do like strategy games. On iOS, I actively seek out games like Kingdom Rush, these wonderful tower defence games. But equally, my favourite game in the last probably 5 years was Splinter Cell Blacklist. just a game that had my heart pounding, absolute heart pounding, and that's very few games can do that. So I've got no particular niche where I go, oh, that's my thing. I just love great games. I love a great gaming experience. You know, I don't collect anything. I collect memories, and when I say memories, I've got things up there such as my Robocops, my Boba Fett, my Kylo Ren, all my figures. I go to America once a year to Disney. Disney World is my thing, to take the family. But equally, as Disney have taken over Star Wars, I do a lot of collecting there. In terms of games, what I do collect, I've got a PS4, I've got my arcade machine which has every single format on there. And when I say I collect memories, that's what I do. I spend time generally with a bottle of whiskey at weekends on Friday, a bottle of whiskey and a nice quality single malt, and I sit here and I go through the games and I relive my memories. So there's not a particular thing. I mean, I think I've got everything that I want to collect. I'm not one for collecting actual old old games and the likes, PS4 or PlayStation or NES or anything. I don't do that only because I've got them on here, and I think I'd rather not have the space being used for that kind of stuff. All the memories, in my view, are in here, and all the things that I collect. I've got several. I'll tell you a great story. Absolute corking story. So back in the day, it must have been 1995 maybe. So it was PCs, and we was playing Command and Conquer Red Alert 2, I believe it was. And I lived in a flat at the time, and a friend of mine lived in a flat below. So we had an apartment above him. We threw an RS-232 lead out of the window into his, and this was the first time before there was any sort of internet as we know it now. And we played Command and Conquer, real time. And one day I was getting absolutely battered on this game, and he was preparing his tanks, building his tanks up, and I was, I was losing, and there's no comeback here unless. Of course, what I did, I thought, well, you know what, I've got nothing to lose here. I can wither on the vine, or I can do something about it. And what I did was I ended up selling all my things, creating 2 helicopters, and putting a pair of Tangers in them. So anyone who's a Command and Conquer player on those Command and Conquer will know that Tangers, the special forces, they land, they can just put a bomb onto any unit and blow it up, and they have a single shot when it comes to soldiers. No armour, so obviously if a tank comes, they're finished. But that was it. And yeah, 2 helicopters went into his base, and I think we might have 4 Tanyas in there, and we just blitzed his base, and he just rage quit. So that's one of my earliest memories there. Like I say, my formative memories were from that holiday in 1982, or 1983 it must have been, because obviously Dragon's Lair was out, and that's the great thing about this, is I get to, this is more than an arcade machine, it's a time machine, and that's what this is about really, me being 8, 9 and 10 and going back there. And what I do find about it is that this era where there's an era where probably 94 onwards in arcades in Maine, where they tried doing lots of 3D graphics, and they're really dated. Whereas if you look at like a game from from 1981-82 that uses 2D sprites, they still play up like Gallagher's amazing game, one of my favourites there. But then you look at that era, it probably wasn't 93, it was before that, when they tried to first introduce 3D. It did not age well. So big games fan, and I continue to play games to this day. I've just got DX on my PS4, and I'm really looking forward to Days Gone. That's the one I'm really excited for. And I have the PlayStation VR on order as well, and the PlayStation Pro, so we'll see what that yields. I don't collect games, I have everything that I need to collect here. Games that I buy, I rarely go back to. I play a game and it goes back to resell in retail, unless of course I digitally download it, in which case I may replay it again. But I don't really collect games. As I said, what I find that replaying most games, you never get that same buzz. So I'm always looking for the next thing, unless of course it's a classic. So I don't do any collecting whatsoever. I did used to work in a game shop in 1997-98. I was a regional manager for a games retailer. So I understand the whole game. Back in the day, it was probably PlayStation 1 and 2, I think it was. So I understand the whole collecting thing, but I don't need a row of games in order to play them. I have this. Now here's the thing, I've never played 1943 on a NES. Now this is an emulator obviously. First time, 1943, the Battle of Midway. Let's see what we can do with it. Alright, so press start. Oh, here we go. We've got to distribute your power-ups. Well, that's a new one. Let's have a look. Offensive power, we like that. Always a challenging games like this where you need to decide what you're going to apply. So I've gone with 3 offensive power, 2 defensive power, an energy level on 1, and special weapons 1. Let's go. First time I've ever played this. Do like 1940s series. Awesome. 1942 was big memories for me. And you may also recognise me back in the day, back in 1993-94, I appeared on the Channel 4 programme in the UK, Games Master. I was one of the game reviewers for the programme. And well, there you go, power up. And I appeared on about 20 episodes of Games Master. And I also appeared on Sky One's Games World with Big Boy Barry back in the day as well. So I've got a bit of a heritage with computer games and arcade games, and big passion of mine, absolute big passion of mine. I've been playing games since 1980, I'd say, 1981, and you know, this has been a childhood dream of mine to get a cab. I sort of promised myself as a child I'd get one. You know, it's just a childhood dream, but I 13,000 and climbing, by the way, score-wise. But no, I'm a massive gamer and I actually love it. I genuinely love games. Generally, I've never, if I'm really honest, I've never been in the NES Hyperspin wheel. This is the first time. I'm a big fan of MAME. Absolute, that's where my passion is, MAME. And also Mega Drive. That's where I hang out mostly. Level 1 completed. So I have no idea of other people's scores on this thing, but that gaming heritage is certainly coming in to play here. This is actually really good. Oh, okay, yeah, good. This is genuinely really good as a game. You know, I never had a NES. Never had a NES. And Alan has just, nearly got taken out then. Alan has just sent me a messenger on Facebook. And that, boys and girls, is my dog, Tyson, a Labradoodle, as someone is probably at the front door whilst I'm filming. But we're going to keep going, because my score, I'm quite chuffed with actually. 31,000, end of the first level, energy 4. And now we're coming across the battleship, which, once again, I have never played this, and I've got to say, game over. You see my score? My score was 32,000. So that's me, Brad Burton. You can find me on Twitter at Brad Burton. You can also find my website www.bradburton.biz, and go and Google me. You'll find me on Facebook. I generally talk business, but by all means you can capture all of me and talk games. Really enjoyed this. Like I say, the score I think was 32,000, so 32,000 to beat. I'll leave you there. I'm going to get on with my business. Cheers guys, bye.